Clara, stop being so selfish. Leo needs this house. My stepmother, Brenda, hissed, her voice low and sharp in the middle of my father's retirement party. He has a family to start. What do you have? I stood frozen in the kitchen of my childhood home. The same home I had just poured my entire life savings, $150,000, into, to save it from foreclosure. My father, Robert, he had just announced to all our friends and family that he was giving the now debt-free house entirely to my stepbrother. Leo, my father, the man I had sacrificed everything for, wouldn't even look at me. The tears were falling. My best friend Sarah was sitting right next to me, hearing every word of his promise. The party had started so well. It was a crisp autumn afternoon, and the house was filled with orange colored gardens and roses. I had spent the morning helping Brenda set out platters of food. Feeling deep, quiet seems to come. I looked around the familiar living room. The warm bench was the fireplace was gathering on Christmas. 6 months ago, all of this was almost gone. The foreclosure notice had been a dark cloud, threatening to erase our family's history. I was a good accountant. I understood numbers. And I was good at saving. For 10 long years. I had worked overtime, skipped vacations, and lived in a tiny, bare-bones apartment, all to build a future for myself. When my father called me, his voice thick with panic, I didn't hesitate. I took that money, my entire nest egg, and paid off the remaining mortgage, $150,000. The relief in his voice that day had made me feel like it was worth every sacrifice. Now, he was standing by the fireplace, tapping a glass for attention. He was officially retired. I just want to thank everyone for coming, he started, beaming, and I want to thank my wonderful wife, Brenda, for her support. He put his arm around her, and she glowed. And my son, Leo, he said, gesturing to my stepbrother, who was leaning against the wall with his usual lazy smile. Leo, the artist who had never held a job for more than 6 months. The one who always had a new project that my father and Brenda would happily fund. To celebrate this new chapter, my father continued, and to ensure our family's legacy, Brenda and I have made a decision. We have signed over the deed to this house, our family home, to Leo, to give him and his new girlfriend the stable foundation they deserve. Leo smiled, raising his glass as if he drank. I stood there, a plate of hot and hot Christmas was on my hand. The cake began to tremble. I couldn't breathe. The chocolate people were in the punch my Leo signed over the deed. He set the plate down. I walked over to my father and stepmother. My heart pounded so Can I talk to you and Brenda in the kitchen? For a minute. My voice was a strained whisper. The smile on his face faltered, replaced by a flicker of annoyance. Clara. Not now. We have guests. Now. Dad. Please. In the kitchen. I shut the swinging door, cutting off the sound of the party. The silence was sudden and awful. What was that? I asked, my voice shaking so hard I barely recognized it. What about our agreement? What about my money? My father sighed and rubbed his temples. He wouldn't look at me. It was Brenda who spoke. Her friendly party face was gone, replaced by a cold, hard mask. Clara, you're being dramatic. It's still the family home. What family? Brenda the first 5. The panic rising. He gave the house to Leo. He didn't give it to the family. He gave it to your son. What about the $150,000 I paid? The agreement was that my name would go on the deed. 2. We were supposed to be co-owners. Oh. Stop being so selfish, Brenda said, waving her hand dismissively. Leo needs this house. He and Tiffany are talking about getting married. Having a baby. They need stability. She looked me up and down. Her eyes filled with a pity that made my skin crawl. You're a successful accountant. You're making money. This is what's best for you. The real family whispered. I looked at my father. He was staring at the floor. His face cleared. Dad said something. He finally looked up. His eyes twinkled. Don't do this. Don't ruin the party. You've always been strong. You'll be fine. The words hit me harder than a physical blow. I wasn't his daughter. I was his safety net. I was the responsible one he could rely on to fix his messes. And the one he could betray for his real family. The kitchen door swung open. And my best friend, Sarah, stood there. She had a look of pure fury on her face. She had clearly overheard. The noise of the party behind her seemed to fade away. All I could see was my father's weak, guilty expression, and my stepmother's triumphant, cold stare. I stood there, frozen. My hands were clenched into fists, my nails digging into my palms. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to throw every plate in that kitchen against the wall. Instead, I just turned, pushed past Sarah, and walked out. I grabbed my coat and purse from the hall closet, walked out the front door, and didn't look back. I heard my father call my name. Clara. Wait, but his voice was weak. It didn't sound like he meant it. I drove, but I don't remember where. I just ended up parked on a dark street overlooking the city lights. The engine off. The cold of the car seeped into my skin. But it was nothing compared to the ice in my chest. I just sat there, replaying the scene in the kitchen over and over. Leo needs this. What do you have? My whole life had been defined by that question. I was Clara, the responsible one, the one who was strong and would be fine. While I was in high school, I was the one working a part-time job at the library, saving for college. Leo, Brenda's son, was the creative spirit. He was given a brand new guitar and space to find himself when he failed his classes. I went to college and studied accounting. I liked the logic of it. The clean lines of a balanced ledger. I got a good job. I worked hard. I paid off my student loans. I started saving. My dream was simple, a small condo of my own. A little garden on the balcony. 10 years. 10 years of working late during tax season. Of packing my own lunch every single day. Driving a 10 years of putting every single dollar into a permanent savings account. $150,000. It was my pride. It was my future. Leo. You know. My pride. I was the eco-friendly teacher that $10,000 to start. It folded in 4 months. Which required a new hammer and expensive equipment. All paid for. He decided to become. Each failure was just a learning experience. And each one was financed by my father draining his retirement account. And I, the good accountant, had watched it happen. I'd warned my father. Gently. Dad, are you sure you can afford this? Is Leo contributing? Oh, Clara. You know how artists are? He'd say with a wave of his hand. He just needs a little push. His time will come. I had let it go. It was his money. I told myself. But I had been wrong. It was my money. 2. The money he should have been saving. And when his bad decisions, his endless funding of Leo, finally caught up with him, and the bank came calling. He didn't turn to Leo. He turned to me. I remembered the phone call 6 months ago, as clearly as if it were happening right now. I was at a small coffee shop with Sarah, my best friend since college. We were supposed to be celebrating her promotion to paralegal at a downtown law firm. My phone rang, and it was my dad. I picked it up, smiling. "Hey, Dad. What's up?" His voice was a broken, panicked sob. "Clara." "Oh, God. Clara. I'm so sorry. The bank. They're foreclosing. We're going to lose the house." My smile vanished. What? What are you talking about? I thought you were managing. It's all gone. Honey. He wept. The second mortgage. Leo's last business venture. It didn't work out. We missed 3 payments. They're calling the loan due. We have 30 days. $150,000. We'll be on the street. I was so stunned. I just stared at Sarah, my eyes wide. Sarah, ever the professional, gestured for me to put the phone on speaker. I did. "Dad," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Breathe. Let me understand." "There's nothing to understand," he cried. "We're ruined. Your childhood home. Gone. Everything." I looked at Sarah. She was listening intently, her expression serious. I took a deep breath. "Dad," I said. His sobbing stopped, replaced by a sudden, despairing feeling. "But, Clara, you would do it." "Yes," I said. If I do this, it's not it's an investment. I'm paying off the house. And then it's the only way I can protect myself. There was no hesitation. Yes, yes. Of course. Honey, absolutely. That's only fair, if you pay off this loan. I swear to you, I will go to the bank. I will go to the county clerk. I will do whatever it takes. I will put your name on the deed as co-owner. This house will be yours. 2. You've saved us. Clara, you've saved our lives." We talked for another minute, and he hung up, promising to get the paperwork started. I put the phone down, my hand shaking. Sarah looked at me. Her expression, unreadable. "Clara," she said, her paralegal voice kicking in. "You need to get that in writing. Right now. Email him. Dear Dad." Further to our conversation. I am agreeing to transfer $150. 0 inches exchange for 50% equity, and my name being added to the title. You need a paper trail. I had laughed. A short, shaky laugh. Sarah. Come on. It's my dad. He just swore to me. I heard him. You heard him. He's not going to cheat me. He's disparity. Sarah had said. Her voice firm. And he's weak. And Brenda is not your friend. Get it in writing. I had waved her off. It's fine. It's my dad. Now, sitting in my cold car, her words echoed in my head. He's weak. Get it in writing. How could I have been so stupid I was an accountant? I lived by paper trails, but I had trusted my own father. I had wanted to believe in finally making this instead, it had just made me feel. My phone buzzed. It was Sarah. I had ignored her because I answered. My voice cracked. You were right. My voice sobbed. Now tainted. I told you so. Where are you? Are you okay? No. I whispered. I was scared. And you performed your end of the bargain by transferring the money. I am a paralegal. I know exactly what I heard. And I will stand in any court in this country, and I will testify to it. I stopped crying, my breath hitching. What? What does that mean? It means, she said, and I could hear the steel in her voice, that you're not a fool. Clara, you're a victim of fraud, and we're going to fix it. I didn't go home. I couldn't. I ended up at Sarah's apartment, huddled on her sofa with a blanket wrapped around me. Even though it wasn't cold, I felt hollowed out. Empty. I called in sick to work the next morning. My voice a flat monotone. I couldn't imagine looking at a spreadsheet. I couldn't imagine focusing on numbers. My phone buzzed all morning with texts from my father. Clara, please come home. We can talk. You're overreacting and upsetting Brenda. Don't be childish. Clara. Not one message said, I'm sorry. Not one said, let's fix this. I ignored them all, staring blankly at the television, not seeing a thing. Around noon, the phone rang. I saw the caller ID and my stomach clenched. It was Leo. I don't know why I answered. Maybe I thought he was calling to apologize. My voice was dead. What? Hey. Clara, his voice was obnoxiously cheerful, as if nothing had happened. So, Mom said you were a little upset last night, but I'm sure you'll get over it. Listen, I was wondering if you could do me a huge favor. I was silent. I couldn't even this whole home what? Way more expensive than I thought. He laughed. The property taxes are being extended. I'm taking it out of the picture. It's so old. They're thinking of knocking down the walls. He just said, I continued, completely oblivious. Since you don't have to pay for the house anymore, and you're saving all that money, could you spot me with cash and taxes, and maybe put them for the renovation? You know, as a housewarming gift, something inside me, the part that was cold and hollow, suddenly snapped. It was like a steel cable pulling tight. I stood up from the sofa. My hand was gripping the phone so hard, my knuckles turned white. The fog in my head cleared, replaced by a cold, sharp anger. You, I said, my voice dangerously quiet. You are asking me for more money, for the house my money paid for. Leo was taken aback. Whoa, chill out. Clara, Dad gave me the house. It's mine. I'm just asking for a loan. I didn't scream. I just pressed the end of the phone, cutting him off, and stood there, but not from sadness. It was real. I looked at Sam. He was standing in the kitchen. I had 2 cups of coffee. He asked me for milk. I said, my voice high, for the property taxes, underneath the Sarah didn't ask for help. She just looked. Her face burned. Okay, she said, setting the coffee down. It's time. Get dressed. We're going to see Mr. Pelsinaneda. Miller. Mr. Miller was Sarah's boss, a senior partner at her firm. He was an older, no-nonsense man with sharp, intelligent eyes. He listened to my entire story without saying a word. I sat in a stiff leather chair opposite his big wooden desk. I laid out the only physical proof I had, the bank statement, showing a single wire transfer of $150. 000 to my father's mortgage account. When I finished, he steepled his fingers and looked at me. Well, Miss I. His voice deep. I must be perfectly blunt. A verbal contract without an is notoriously difficult to enforce. The statute of frauds in this state requires that agreements for the sale and transfer of land must be in writing to be legally sank into my stomach. So, the money was just gone. I did not see it. Mr. You are not a lawyer. You are an accountant. So let's look at the ledger. They are in a very, very bad position. You have two extremely powerful assets on your side. He tapped the bank statement. First, you have this. A wire transfer for that exact, specific amount. Just before the mortgage was satisfied. This is undeniable proof of your performance of an agreement. They can't claim it was a gift when it so clearly matches the debt they owed. He then turned his gaze to Sarah, who was sitting beside me, taking notes. And second, he said, a small, rare smile touching his lips. We have her. Sarah sat up straight. Clara's father, called her on her cell phone 6 months ago. I was present. I advised her to pick up the phone. I heard Mr. Hudson's, Evan Thomas. You know I said it first. But if Clara could ask 150,000, 000 he would immediately put the name on the I am a certified paralegal, and I took deep notes of the conversation immediately. Mr. Miller smiled. This is no longer a messy, he said. Plain and swallow. This is a documented, witnessed verbal handling, which you performed in good faith. This moves us squarely into the specific promise. You acted on that promise to your significant financial detriment, and they cannot be allowed to unjustly benefit from this decision. So what do you do about this? My voice barely answered. Today, Mr. Miller said, we file a lis pendens against the property. What is that? Sarah answered, her voice gentle but firm. It's Latin. It means sweet pending. We file it with the county clerk. It's a public notice that attaches to the deed of the house. It tells the entire world that the title is in dispute. Your father and Leo. They can't sell the house. They can't take out a new loan for their kitchen renovation. The house is frozen. Locked down. Until a judge hears your claim. A wave of relief washed over me. So strong I almost felt dizzy. But it was followed by a sudden, cold jolt of fear. I looked at Mr. Miller. Does this mean my father? Will they go to jail? Is this a criminal case? The thought of my dad, weak and foolish, but still my dad, being arrested. I felt a small, sharp pang of my old guilt. Mr. Miller shook his head kindly. Clara, our action is purely civil. Our goal is not to put anyone in jail. Our goal is to get your money back. We are asking the court to put a lien on the house or force a sale to pay you what you are owed, including your legal fees and damages. His voice fell. However, what they did, inspiring to take the money under a false promise, has very clear elements of criminal conduct. We will proceed with the civil case. But the court allowed it. That is what the I took a deep breath. The last bit of feeling that was running away, replaced by hope. I thought of Lena, asking me if they knew. The list pendants was 5 minutes. The silence from my family lasted exactly 48 hours. It was a Tuesday evening. I was at my apartment, finally trying to sort through a pile of mail, when my building's intercom buzzed. It was Sarah. Clara. They're here, she said, her voice low. Your father and Brenda. They're in the lobby. And they look furious. I'm on my way up. My heart jumped into my throat. I hadn't expected them to show up at my door. A moment later, there was a furious pounding on my apartment door. Not a knock. A pounding. Clara, open this door. Open it right now. It was my father's voice. But it was a voice I'd never heard before. Sarah arrived just as I was looking for the kitchen. They were both there. Brenda's face and mask appeared. My father's voice spoke to me. Sarah put her hand on my shoulder. Don't open it. I took a deep breath. Unlocked the door closet. And opened the door. How dare you, Brenda? The kitchen passed me into my small living room. How dare you do this to us? Do you have any idea what you have protected me from this? I said. My voice was surprisingly steady. Sarah stood right beside me. Her arms crossed. You've ruined us, my father yelled. We got a letter from a lawyer. Some kind of... Liz. Anything, Leo went to the bank to apply for a loan for the kitchen. And they laughed at him. They told him the house is worthless. That the title is in dispute. You've humiliated us. You humiliated me. I said, my voice rising. You stood up at your own party and gave my life savings away. You are tearing this family apart, Brenda screamed, her finger jabbing at my face. After everything we've done for you, after we gave you a home, you're a selfish, ungrateful child. A home, I repeated. A home I just paid for. A home you stole from me and gave to your son. Is that the home you're talking about? Clara. That's enough, my father shouted. You will call this lawyer. This. Miller. And you will call this off right now. You are embarrassing me. This is not how a daughter behaves. The old guilt tried to surface. The lifetime of training to be the good girl. The strong one. Flickered inside me. I felt a moment of hesitation. A wave of fear at his anger. But then I looked at his face. He wasn't sad. He wasn't sorry. He was angry that I had fought back. That flicker of guilt died. Replaced by a cold. Hard, calm. No. I said. My father stared at me. What did you say? I said no. I will not be calling it off. I'm an accountant. Dad, I'm going to follow the ledger. You owe me $150,000. And I am going to get it back. You have no proof, Brenda spat. It's your word against your father's. You gave him that money as a gift for his retirement. No, I didn't. I said. Defiant. And you know I did. But you're right. It's not just my word. I turned my head slightly and looked at Sam. My father and Brenda hadn't agreed with me. I just saw them as equal. You seem to be forgetting something. Dad, I said. My voice cleared from his face. When you called me, Brian. I didn't know what to say to this. I remember his face was red. I was upset. I was at a coffee shop. I continued. I wasn't alone. Sarah was with me. And the phone was on speaker. The color drained from my father's face. Brenda's eyes widened. Her mouth falling open. They both turned and stared at Sarah. Sarah uncrossed her arms. I'm a certified paralegal. Mr. Evans, she said. Her voice, professional and sharp. I heard your entire promise. I heard you offer 50% co-ownership of the property in exchange for a $150. Null wire transfer. I heard Clara accept. I took notes on the conversation, which are dated and timed. I will be testifying to that verbal contract. Under oath. In a court of law. It's not, he said. She said. It's, he said. She said. And a professional witness heard every word. It was over. I could see it. Brenda looked like she had been struck by lightning. She stumbled back and sank onto my sofa. her hands fluttering to her chest. My father just stared. His face a sickly, pale gray. The rage was gone, replaced by pure, abject terror. He knew he was caught. He knew he had lied. And he knew, in front of a professional witness, that his lie would be exposed in court. You planned this, he whispered, pointing a shaking finger at me. You set me up. No, Dad, I said, feeling the last bit of my old life fall away. You set yourself up. I just did what I had to do to survive. They left without another word. Brenda was crying. My father looked like a broken man. The call from their lawyer to Mr. Miller came at 9:01 the next morning. They wanted to settle. Immediately. We met in Mr. Miller's conference room 2 days later. My father, Brenda, and Leo sat on one side of the table. They all looked smart. My clients are prepared to settle this matter at legally closing instructions. And Leo said, his voice stiff. Here are our terms. Mr. Miller said, sliding the paper across the table. Lodging the police transfers to Leo evidence is reversed. Effective immediately. Mr. and Mrs. Evans will apply for a new mortgage on the plus an additional $20. 000 for my client's legal fees and damages. That money will be paid directly to Clara. Only then will we remove the lis pendens. Their lawyer read the terms. He muttered to my father, who just nodded, his face ashen. They were trapped. To pay me back, they had to take out a new, massive loan on the house they thought they'd owned free and clear. A loan they would have to pay, on a retired income, for the rest of their lives. They signed. I received the check for $170. 000. 1 week later. The first thing I did was take Sarah out for the most expensive dinner in the city. The second thing I did was put a down payment on a small, sunny one-bedroom condo. All my own. The third thing I did was block my father's prostran, Brenda's, and Leo's numbers. It's been 6 months. I'm sitting on my own balcony. It's small, but I have a pot of red geraniums. And they're thriving. I hear, through the grapevine, that my father's house is strained. The new mortgage payment is crippling them. Leo moved back in. But he's no help. The kitchen, I'm told, is still old. Sometimes, a pang of sadness hits me for the father I thought I had. But it passes. My father made his choice. He chose his new wife and her son over me. He took my sacrifice and threw it away. I've learned that you can't set your own boundaries on fire just to keep others warm. I learned that the hardest, but most important person to become my love is really balanced. And I want, for the first time in my life, truly good. What do you think of